nervous about this video. It's sort of serious this time. I'm going to be less of an idiot than usual. I'm just going to say what everyone else is thinking. Society is going downhill and it's happening quickly. I am genuinely losing faith in our generation, and it scares me that one day we will be the responsible ones. We won't have Janet, who lives 3 doors down, who always seems to have the right kind of sellotape you need, or she always has the extra flour you need when you're baking a cake. One day, Janet's not going to be here anymore. So I think we all need to start being a little bit more grateful for what we've got. And by a little bit, I mean a lot. You might be confused about what's brought this on, and to be honest, I don't blame you, because last week I was talking about zombies, and the week before that was like moaning about Halloween, which is a slight contradiction to this video. But I stumbled across this picture. I'll read it to you now, and I'll also put it up here. If you have food in your fridge, clothes on your back, a roof over your head and a place to sleep, you are richer than 75% of the world. If you have money in the bank, your wallet and some spare change, you are among the top 8% of the world's wealthy. If you woke up this morning with more health than illness, you are more blessed than 1 million people who will not survive this week. If you have never experienced the danger of battle, the agony of imprisonment or torture, or the horrible pangs of starvation, you are luckier than 500 million people alive and suffering. If you can read this message, you are more fortunate than 3 billion people in the world who cannot read it at all. So I think it's the little things we need to appreciate more in life. Nowadays we get so swept up in the things that we want and the things that we don't have, that we forget to appreciate the things that we've got. I don't always mean the physical things like the latest phone or the latest game or the latest whatever. I also mean when people say things like they want longer hair, or they want slimmer legs, or they want this or that or whatever. But if you think about it in more depth, you should be grateful that you have those things in the first place. Billions of women have lost the hair they hated, and I'm pretty sure they would do anything to have that hair back regardless of what it looked like. There are millions of soldiers and people who've suffered horrific accidents that have lost limbs, and I'm pretty sure they would want those limbs back, whether they were small limbs or whether they were bigger. I may have thought about this too much, but to me it doesn't make sense that there's people who have limbs who are complaining about the limbs they've got, while there are people who don't have limbs and would do anything to have them back, or have them in the first place. It's very likely they'd rather have those limbs than none at all. I also think people nowadays complain too much. I myself fall victim to this sometimes, so I'm not excluding myself from the situation. I just think that people find excuses to complain. For example, obviously no one likes paying taxes, but if you pay taxes, it means you're employed. So instead of complaining about the tax, you should be grateful about the employment. Because so many people are desperate for jobs just to put food in front of their family. And people complain about having to cut the grass, having to clean the windows, having to wash the car. But if you're complaining about those things, it means you have those things. That was a mouthful. It means you have a house, it means you have land, even if that land is just 10 square feet of garden. It means you have a car you can get from A to B, regardless of which car you have. There's the people who complain about not being able to park close enough to the shop. If you've had to park far away, it means you're able to walk from that distance to the shop. Other people may not be able to walk that distance. Have you ever thought about it like that? Probably not. And finally, I think the thing that we all complain about most is early mornings. No one likes that moment when your alarm's going off in the morning. It is not a pleasant experience. However, first of all, when you hear that alarm, it means you can hear. That sounds really obvious and it might sound ridiculous, but I think there's something very lucky about being able to hear the sound of an alarm in an odd sort of way. It also means that you are alive. That statistic I read earlier, what was it? If you woke up this morning with more health than illness, you are more blessed than 1 million people who will not survive this week. 1 million people won't survive this week. I'm not saying that people shouldn't complain about their problems overall because people have it worse. Of course you're allowed to complain about your problems. I just think a lot of people nowadays need a reality check, and I hope what I've said in this video comes across in the way that I'm trying to portray it. I'm not too sure how it's going to turn out. I hope you can understand what I mean. I just think a lot of things need to be put into perspective for people to realise how lucky they genuinely are. So I hope this video has sort of changed the way you think. So anyway, that's my opinion on today's society and being grateful and putting things into perspective. I hope I voiced my opinion well. I'm sorry if I didn't. If you have by some chance taken this the wrong way, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to offend anyone, obviously. And that's all I have to say on the matter really. If you agree with me, give this video a big thumbs up, and I'd love to hear your opinions about this topic in the comments below. Remember to subscribe to see my face every week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye!